then within one generation, by the time they grow up to teach their own kids, evil is already expunged from the world. Evil exists because of the ignorance of the good. And that's what you have to cut at the root at. And that's simple education. That's, we can go to Wilhelm Reich. There's teachers out there. There's all sorts of teachers out there who will have elements that help us to gain that kind of insight into what is false. And it can happen when you teach children to know absolutely what I'm hearing here, or this person is not to be trusted, then evil is already destroyed by it's evaporated without effort, because there's nobody in the world that falls for it. It's that immunity again.
Yeah. I can see where you come from with that. That's a very optimistic note as well, in that it is a way of fixing the one single problem that really counts in 1 to 2 generations, basically. Yeah.
Absolutely. I've actually had experience of it. I've had a mini experience of it when I taught children symbolism. You make these kids, it's not that you're making them, they're becoming it, but you sort of put some signposts up there, and what you basically do is you don't send them the energy of lack of trust or that they're broken, and then it happens. They get so sharp, it's uncanny.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of things on YouTube lately of kids that I was amazed at the age of them, barely into the teens, that had such a good grasp of stuff that, frankly, it's taken me years to get my hands around. It is a positive note, without a doubt, yeah.
The system is meant to educate them, prefers to mutilate that intelligence to say, you got to jump through these hoops we've provided. So, of course, the kid's attention has to completely concentrate. It can no longer be thinking about using the right brain or the deeper centers of intelligence, because it has to jump like some sort of demented kangaroo through all these hoops in order to matriculate according to their ridiculous, empty, moronic system. So even a kid who sits there going, this teacher's a complete and utter asshole, and believe me, I had many in my life. You can't do that. You have no interactivity. You cannot say, well, wait a minute, what's going on here? The Steiner schools and the Krishnamurti schools emphasize this. The kids always talk back to the teachers, always question, where did you get that knowledge? Did you just learn this from your wife or whatever, or why, how did you learn this? Do you know it's true? They would have this incredible critical back and forth with the teachers. Of course, we know that doesn't exist in modern world, schools, and where they say, no, you just shut up and believe what we tell you. And what that's basically doing is it gives you a lot of important skills. I won't argue that. But what it's also doing is it's cutting off a vital moral sensibility that is very much missing in our world today. And the more that happens, the more evil will proliferate just from that alone.
Yeah.
Question in lobotomy. It's interesting. Have you read Aldous Huxley's The Island? Or no. Island, I believe.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating look at how a community or decent people could live. I'm not saying it's the only one by any stretch, or even passing comments on Huxley, but it is very much in the vein of what you've just been saying.
I'm going to write that down.
On so many levels.
Yeah.
I'm going to write that down. I love that, because I have been referencing his other work, and then also Walden 2, by B.F. Skinner. But I'm always on the outlook for stuff like that. The Island, that's interesting.
And I've got it in front of me on the bookshelf.
Wow. I'm all for that.
It is Aldous Huxley's Island, not The Island. If you hang on at the end, Michael, I'll give you the ISBN number of that if you want.
That's all right. I can look it up. I've just written it down.
Great.
Awesome.
Smashing.
Yeah, I've read parts of that one. It's definitely something that's on the list to get into more. Mark, are you still online for any further input towards the end?
Yes, I think so.
Fire
Can
up.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Fascinating. I'm blown away. Michael, brilliant. And thanks for coming on this show. It's the discussion a few minutes ago focused very much upon what I've been majoring on for years, too many years, and my own research and involvements into, should we say, the occult side of this led me to a realization that the occult law, for want of a better word, possibly spelled L-O-R-E, I guess, actually defines the solution or an approach to the solution. And it requires, as you pointed out, that we must take all this on board. But something that doesn't seem to be being taught in the New Age philosophy is that all that learning must be taken with some intent and acted upon. it's a very hard thing to go into. Perhaps if you ever had the time, just look at my website. I'm trying to define it there, and I'm putting a bit more work into that as we speak, because I do think there's a solution, and it's to do with focusing. Sorry, not a solution to the overall problem, of course, but something which will trigger this in the public imagination, and that is to focus upon almost the conduit by which this entire conspiracy to which people need to wake up to actually connects with society generally, and that is through the financial system. I've worked with this for years, and I believe there's a way to, let's just say, bring enormous attention to an obvious fact. What I'm saying is, without being specific, I think we need to do something rather than debate for endless years. I'm wondering what you think about that, taking intent and acting upon it, or to be seen to be acting upon it. This is a key for me.
The thing that matters is that everyone must be given the space to approach this problem, shall we say, in their own way.
Yeah.
You know, I always believe, I emphasize again, that when we're talking about breaking through the matrix, we're talking about an extremely small group of people. I know we like to convince ourselves that this is going to be some sort of global awakening and all of that. And I don't agree at all. And I've never said that in my work, even though people have always thought that I do. As I said, it distinguishes my work on 2012 from everybody else in that field. And that is because what we're heading towards now is, as I say, a world in which you will already have all the inbuilt pleasantries, conveniences, happy drugs, and whatever else that all the sci-fi writers in the world, you know, have dreamed up is actually going to be provided, and probably even more than we even know. So, but it's going to be based on the sacrifice of that which is the most important. And what I'm seeing in the world today is that people don't even now value what is the most important. And the ones who do, like those who fought in world wars, gone through incredible sacrifice and suffering, it doesn't matter if they're left or they're right or they're communist or they're whatever, there are people out there who know what is of value. Well, those people are no longer being listened to. Like I said, the people who don't, like Simon was talking about the books, the pricelessness of books, and how this digital kingdom, this digital world is a good thing, but it's leading people away. It's making them Luddites in another way, which could in itself be a terrible, terrible thing.
Absolutely.
You can't even read scribble today. People are writing, what the hell is this? They've forgotten how to write words. They've forgotten how to create spaces between sentences. They don't put, probably has become prolly. I can't even read the garbage that they're abbreviating words. They're abbreviating abbreviations. Where's the full stops gone? What is this gobbledygook? It used to be trendy. It used to be fun, sure. But now it's becoming epidemic worldwide. Once a man loses a language, we were talking about Gaelic before. My God, man is losing his English language.
Absolutely. 100%.
All across the world. The Swedes are speaking some sort of gobbledygook, swing Swedish that nobody knows where it's coming out of. In every other country you're finding this. And there's certain benefits with that, but, to loosen up the mores, but at the same time, loosen up is one thing, drown the whole ship is another. So each individual, it's absolutely important for them to, contribute. Like, say some people like yourself have financial expertise, and by the way, send me your website, because I'd be happy to feature it on my forum. I've got a whole section on that.
Cheers,
and other people have genius with healing, or what we're dealing with is healing. And it's not, healing is a process, not a one solution situation. We're dealing with trauma from thousands of years ago. That's a blink of the eye, so we're in the healing process. The healing process can either be done allopathically, which is what the big brother wants to do. Well, we know what the problems are, but we're going to rope you in, and one size fits all, one leash for one neck. Don't you worry, we're going to take away your existence, but we'll make you live forever. Don't you worry, we got the solutions. Or it can be homeopathically, which is a very different process of building slowly up the immunity of the victim, of the martyr, of the patient. It's all healing. So working with the financial system, working with the legal system, working with official healing, working with history, working with deconstruction, working with children, right? Looking at the whole male-female thing, the gender thing. I looked at that with Regina Meredith recently, far too briefly, but we did an interview on Conscious Media Network on the role of women. What are they doing? What on earth do they think they're doing? Where are they going? What's happening with the femininity and the masculinity? So we got umpteen questions, and no one man is the expert in all of that stuff. I can just synthesize a lot of stuff. But there's people out there who really up to speed on these various levels. They all have to be given the freedom to explore and bring on board without this dog-like.
I agree so entirely, and sorry to come in. What I'm getting at is that we have a right to ask these people a question as publicly and openly as we possibly can. So why don't we just ask the question?
Because you're engaging them.
That's it.
Because you're engaging them. Because in engaging these people, you give them power.
Going back into what Mark's talking about, the suggestion of circling the square as in the square mile, I would like to do that, and I would like to do it silently and not say a word.
I think the greatest change happens on a much more subtle level. First of all, the greatest evil is not what you think it is. That's the first thing. We have to have I've been trying to do that in my work since the beginning. We need an entire re-envisioning and re-evaluation of what we even think evil is, because if we think that evil is coming down from royal families and Illuminatis and whatever else, we have a very, very limited understanding of where evil is really rooted. As I told you, I think Frank Herbert was well onto the track there, but that's a whole separate conversation.
It's all in our
and more than that, we don't even have this deconstructive apophatic model to be able to tell what is false in the first place. We are only going to apprehend truth by first understanding what truth is not. And then to finish what I was saying about the other thing is that, look, the most message I can give to somebody, because remember, given that everyone's into different idioms, everybody, plays with a different fiddle, they hear a thing differently, they operate differently, their interests are different. All my message to them is do what you do fearlessly and with full conviction and passion. Because that's the first step. Because remember, if you don't remove the stone from the shoe, how the hell are you going to cross the mountain? Do you know how many mountains, how many people have been maneuvered away from their life path because of actually something when they look back, they go, that was incredibly insignificant. The stone in the shoe stops you getting out the garden gate. Big dreams. But you is hindered by a small grain of sand. It's that ability to see that small fatal flaw. Like Shakespeare said, the tragic hero is brought down by a single flaw that may have even started as a bloody virtue.